Charlie, to you first on this market that defies everything else. I'm sure it's just a matter of time before we get an official tweet from the White House reminding us that this is the 100th record for the Dow since Donald Trump's election. He takes a bow. As you know, Barack Obama has been taking a bow for it. Who gets the kudos?
Well, it's definitely Trump, and I'll tell you why. Listen, Barack Obama was very good for the markets because we had not Barack Obama, we had the Federal Reserve doing quantitative easing and keeping the interest rates low. That propelled the markets. He wasn't very good for the economy, as you know. Trump has been, whether you don't like, I don't like a lot of his antics personally. I don't like the trade war stuff. But for the most part, he's been extremely good for the economy. And, by just loosening regulations the way he did, massively loosening regulations, cutting the corporate tax rate, cutting some individual taxes, he's unleashed the economy. Remember, the economy generally, economic expansions, even the crummy one you had under Obama, usually last about 7 years. It kept going for a reason. It kept going because the Trump economy, and it's not just Trump, it was Congress. I mean, Donald Trump didn't invent the tax cut or deregulation, let's be real clear. But the fact that you have free market policies here is propelling the market. I will say one other thing, Neil. Yields rising, particularly naturally, the way they're going now, is a good thing. It shows that the economy is improving and that people are getting a little worried, maybe about inflation, not overly worried. It's not like the Fed is doing what they did in the 1980s under Paul Volcker or 79, when he put on the brakes, when he started basically raising interest rates dramatically to quash massive inflation. This is a naturally good interest rates rising. It's good for the economy. It's good for the bank sector. And unless Trump starts a trade war, things are going to be good for a while.
All right, that would be the wind at Republicans' back, or so you would think, Liz Harrington. But then they've got all these other issues on which maybe traders might not focus, but potentially voters do. I'm talking about the Kavanaugh situation, how that splits with women voters, more to the point, and the trade war that could buffet potential holiday buyers. How's it sorting out from the way you see it?
Well, it's interesting on the trade front. I actually heard from a prominent Republican senator this week who said Trump is actually convincing him and others who disagree with him on trade. He's actually convincing them that maybe he knows what he's doing with China here, because they've expanded it to consumer goods, but it's still very targeted, and it's designed for maximum pain on China producers and minimum pain for American consumers. So far we have this caricature in the media that President Trump is reckless and he's barreling toward this out-of-control trade war. It's not happening, and that's why I don't think you see the markets responding in that way. And on the Kavanaugh front, it remains to be seen. Right now, it doesn't look like the testimony is going to happen. And if Ms. Ford does not go forward with and tells her story, as Republicans have given her a chance to do, I think they have no choice but to go ahead and vote on the confirmation. I don't think it really matters much for women voters. The story will go away if she does not testify.
Dan Mitchell, I always wonder about that, and you don't want to get in the head of a block of voters, be they female or any more than African American, or how they dice and slice the voting electorate. I mean, as if they're all going to be part of a homogeneous group. But Republicans are clearly worried that they could be playing a Juanita Hill hand that dealt them badly, nearly a generation ago. Do you think that's the case?
I'm not sure that we can make a judgment at this stage whether or not this fight over Kavanaugh is going to have an effect on voting. What I can say with more confidence is that if the economy is doing well, guess what? People no longer worry about the economy. So I'm not sure that faster growth will help the Republicans in 2018, because now people feel, okay, I can set that aside. Should I worry about the Supreme Court? Should I worry about foreign policy or anything like that? So Republicans have to figure out, if they can take credit for the better economy, how can they convince voters that it's something to actually motivate their voting decision? And that's unclear to me as an economist.
Yeah, Liz Harrington, the argument for and against that is that angry voters tend to turn out in midterm elections. If a lot of people are sitting happy and liking what they're seeing with the economy, the markets, et cetera, their own financial well-being, they're less inclined to run to the polls. So it could be a flip for Republicans. What do you think of that?
Right. I mean, Republican voters could be complacent if everything's going well. Clearly, Democrats are energized on their, anti-Trump agenda. But I think we should keep in mind midterm elections, the past few cycles, Republicans generally do turn out for these elections. It's Democrats that usually haven't. I know they're going to be energized, but the thing that Republicans need to figure out and need to do, which I think would energize their voters much more, is get more things done legislatively, fund the wall like President Trump has been asking them to do, get another big legislative win before the midterms. That would energize Republican voters.
You know, I would say this, Neil. I mean, what we don't know from voters is does Trump energizes his base. We know that, right? Because we saw it, and that's why he won the 2016 election in those 5 key purple states. But does he energize the other base more? And that's the thing that I can't get my hands around, and I don't know if the polls really show that. And one other thing I want to mention on trade and China. As Liz talked about, a Republican senator says he's got his eyes open now about China and that Trump might be doing the right thing. Nobody's arguing with Trump's approach to China, really. It is not. I mean, China is a perennial bad player, a criminal on the global stage. What people worry about with China, and the reason why the markets until recently have been trading very flat. If you look at an S&P from the beginning of the year until the latest stuff, it's been pretty flat. And the reason why is because he's going after NAFTA. He's going after the Europeans. He's going after people we need to isolate China. So sophisticated traders sit there and look at him and they're like, is this guy out of his mind? You know, I mean, why go after Canada when the real culprit is China? And you know, why go after all these players that we need to really go after the major global menace, and which is China. So I think that's the problem with Trump and trade. And again, I mean, who knows about these polls where Trump energizes? And you know, one other thing, Neil, if the Democrats take Congress and the Senate, that's going to be a problem fiscally for the country. You could see stocks trade off on that because it's a much more leftist agenda.
There are a lot of variables there. But, Dan, I'm wondering about this notion that people feel something, but the impact is, and this is a potential negative, but I throw it out there just to make sure, fair and balanced, we cover the good and the bad. It's a post-midterm election phenomenon. In other words, going into the holiday shopping season, you do see a lot of higher prices for goods because the China thing isn't resolved. Let's say potentially the Canadian thing isn't resolved. I'm not saying that's a given, but we're already seeing the price of a lot of those goods move up, everything from handbags to sheets and washers and dryers and on and on and on. So I'm beginning to wonder whether that could be an issue for the economy, maybe for the markets as we go into what is ostensibly supposed to be a strong holiday shopping season.
If we're looking at it from the economic perspective, I'm not too worried right now because what Trump is doing on trade is bad. But so far, he's only affecting about 15% of imports. And I think the bad news there is offset by the good news in terms of lower corporate tax rates, things like that. Getting back to the political discussion, though, when you're talking about who gets motivated, the average worker might not really think much about trade. That might not motivate them. But there are hundreds of companies around the country that already have announced layoffs, have lost orders, are dealing with higher input prices. And if you're a worker at one of these companies, and by the way, the Tax Foundation estimates almost 100,000 jobs being lost because of Trump's trade taxes, those people might be motivated
if they stick
to go out and vote for Democrats. So I think Republicans will shoot themselves in the foot if they continue down this path.